There's the overall picture. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ. Green, better than red. Doug Flynn Zito joins us on that. And we'll get a word in about Tim Walz and Kamala Harris as well. But we got the rebound. Almost predictable, isn't it, after these big Monday sell-offs that you get the Tuesday bounce back?
Yeah, pretty common. You had 3 days of negative, so it was a bit of a bit of a bounce back. I mean, we're still down about 6-7% on the S&P from the all-time high, but it's kind of too early to tell if this is just a little bit of a relief rally or if this is a sustainable return and recovery. So, but it is good to see that we didn't take another leg downward. So that's something to build on.
Well, we talked yesterday about what may have led to the sell-off, whether it was the jobs report, we're concerned about our economy going into recession, or it was something a little more complicated in the financial markets than that, this unwinding of some of these bets the traders had. If it's the unwinding of what they call a carry trade in Japan, for example, that it wouldn't be totally unwound yet, right? Which would suggest maybe there's some more craziness to come, or no?
I think volatility is the name of the game here through the election. But you did have quite a recovery in Japan. If you look at yesterday, they had their worst day since the crash of 1987 on the stock market, and today they had their best day in, I think, since 2008, since the financial crisis. So a wild swing in the Japanese stock market. Some of that has to do with the Japanese yen versus U.S. dollar trade, and some other incidences. If you really want to dig into it, you can certainly look into that. But there are some remnants of that are carrying forward. But that volatility is exactly what you're seeing there. And I mean, we are a global economy now, so you do have these impacts in one area. They're not immune to the rest of the world.
You say the volatility stays at least through the election. Let's bring up the Walz economic policies. We were talking about this with our previous guest, who's from out in Minnesota, but there's his record, what the campaign has put out, what he's signed into law as governor. So what do you make of all of this? Because, it's a vice presidential pick, it's a running mate pick. He's not the top of the ticket, so sometimes you don't have as much influence there. But that's probably not what you were referring to when you're saying volatility. I'm sure you're talking top of the ticket. And how do you think the market and the election will interact between now and November?
Yeah, I mean, with him as a pick, I mean, if you drill down, just to expand on what your previous guest was saying, the info that I've seen, and I honestly knew nothing about him before today,
right.
Which a lot of people didn't. But if you look at the GDP growth of that state versus the GDP growth of the United States, it's only been about 80% of the U.S. growth, and even personal income has run behind the average U.S. So it kind of tells you a little bit about the policies of what you can expect if you're going to do that. And it's fine if that's what you want, but if you want a little bit of a different growth policy, perhaps look, to me it's I'm a Gen X person, and this is just another baby boomer going along with another baby boomer, because Harris and him are both boomers. You got Trump's a boomer. Okay, we don't have Biden anymore. He was so old he wasn't even a baby boomer. He was in the silent generation. And so you got, okay, the only millennial on the ticket is Vance, but still no Gen X's. Of all the people out there, they had to run two baby boomers.
Aren't they the top of Gen? Are they really boomers? I thought that Obama and these guys were the youngest Gen X, no?
No, we have no representation as Gen X people, but here we are. This is what they got, more of the same. And I think that's the point, is that they've got a very sort of benign choice here. So it's going to come down to the economic policies and what, which way you think you're going to grow out of it.
Nobody represents you. Thank you, my friend. Let's look at these.